may happen you are not able to do, but where you are stuck, that is important. Okay, so where you are exactly stuck, that is important. So your confusion lies in which part of the problem, that I'll understand. Now you see, these problems were based on the effects of ice coating and the wind pressure. Now, after the two effects, means ice coating and wind pressure, the together combined effect of ice and wind was also there, and that led to a vector. Okay, the vector, which is Wt, which is the total weight acting on the conductor, that we got as a resultant of the vertical component of the weight of conductor and ice, and the horizontal component of wind. So from there we got the slant sag, which is the sag at the direction of the angle theta, and at the same time we got tan theta, which is theta the angle with respect to the vertical. So as the slant sag is the direction at an angle, then we get got the and here in this problem the vertical sag was also needed to calculate, and they have already given the factor of safety, which is nothing but the ultimate strength divided by allowable working tension. So we have got the factor of safety, which is 5, I think. Yes. Now you see, to those who could not solve can take down the problem. I'll also send the PDF. So they have given L, that is the span, they have given the area, that is A, and ultimate strength also it can be calculated by multiplying the ultimate strength per centimeter square into the kg, that is that becomes 9500, because 5000 multiplied by 1.9 kg, that is 9500 kg. And then you have the factor of safety, which is strength divided by total tension T. So T you can calculate by having the ultimate strength and the factor of safety. Next is the weight of the conductor, which is nothing but area multiplied by density. So area is 1.9 given, density is 8.9. Okay, that is also given, because they have given the specific gravity of the conductor material. Specific gravity only is our density. We have to consider it only as density. So area of the conductor multiplied by density, we get the weight of the conductor. So when we get the weight of the conductor W, that is the total weight. Now the wind force is also given 1.5, and now the resultant, that is Wt, will be root over W square plus W square, that is wind force square plus the weight of the conductor square. So that is the total weight that is acting. Now from the total weight, you just put it in the sag, which is S equals to W square by 80. That is the formula, general formula of sag this is. Okay. So this acts along the direction of theta with respect to vertical, and tan theta equals to WW by divide. This is also the formula. Okay, I'll just go. Is this problem visible to all?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, madam. Okay, okay. So take you can take down or it is open in front of you also. We will try solving it in our own. Okay. So hints are already given in the first two lines of the solution. Let us just read first. Okay. So it says that a transmission line has a span of 250-meter between the level supports. The effective diameter of the conductor is 1.4 centimeter and its weight is 1 kg per meter. So weight is given. Okay. So weight is given, weight of the conductor. It is a bare conductor weight. There is nothing there. So the working stress of the conductor is 1050 kg per centimeter square. This is the working stress. Okay. So working stress, where did you get in the factor of safety? The breaking stress divided by working stress it was. Okay. So that is the denominator part of the factor of safety. So that you have got the working stress of the conductor. Now it says that the conductor is coated with ice of radial thickness of 1.25 and also subjected to wind pressure of 40 kg per meter square. Calculate the sag and the vertical sag. Assume ice density as 1 gram per centimeter cube. Okay, so let us first remember what exactly was our effect of wind and ice coating. So effect of wind and ice coating, what did we do? We did the tension was equals to working stress multiplied by area. Okay. How to calculate the area? That we all know that pi by 4 d square it was. Okay. So pi by 4 d square, we have already got that d. So whatever we have got, just write it down. L is equals to 250 meter, that is the span length. Small d is equals to 1.4. What is small d? It is the diameter of the conductor itself. It is the bare conductor itself, not any coating. Okay, so diameter of the bare conductor is 1.4 centimeter. Next is W. W equals to, that is the weight. Weight equals to kg per meter, that is also given. Again, the ice density is given 1 gram per meter cube cc. So it can be converted into 1000 kg because all the calculations we are doing in kg. So if it is gram, you need to convert it in kg. Remember that kg is the normal unit. If anything is given in other than in kg, it means the mass, then you have to convert it into the kg. Okay. So here are the things that are given. Okay. Now try doing it. First, T, you just find out T. Tension. Tension is equals to, it is written working stress into area. You see working stress is given as 1050 kg per meter square, centimeter square. So 1050 into pi by 4 d square. Okay, remember all are in centimeters, so we are considering centimeter only. The mass is in kg and the length is in centimeter. Like that we are doing. If we have got anything in meter, just like L is in meter, that we have to convert into centimeter if needed. So now you see, wind pressure is the next thing. Anyone who has calculated T, tension?
1616.34.
Yes. Who's this?
Mazhar ma'am.
Good. So next is, this is T. I'll just show it because Mazhar told the value. So this is the first calculation. Okay. Next is the wind. Okay. So wind force is equals to pressure, projected pressure, means pressure P multiplied by projected area per length. So pressure P is 40 because it is given as wind pressure. You read the problem there, it is given wind pressure of 40 kg per meter square. So that pressure P is 40 multiplied by projected area per length, that is 1.4, which is the diameter in centimeter, plus 2 into thickness. That was the formula, right? D plus 2T. So pressure of the wind multiplied by projected area can be given as D plus 2T because it is only the surface. So obviously if it is the surface projected area per length, then it will be D plus 2T. That is diameter plus thickness of the ice in both the sides. Okay. So we are getting 1 point. Yes, anyone? Any question? Can't hear. Can't hear properly. Yes. Lohit, you want to say something? Lohit, I think you have unmuted. Lohit, kindly if you have no question. Okay, he's not listening. So, yes, done. So now you see, after finding WW, the next thing is WI because wind over the means the wind weight of the wind that it exerts that we have calculated. Now weight of ice that it exerts, that is density multiplied by again area. So area is pi t into d plus t here. Okay, so density of ice into area, that is the weight of the ice, sorry, weight of the ice. So that we are calculating. After getting the weight of ice, we have already got WW and WI both. Now put it the value of the resultant, that is the total weight. So total weight comes as root over of W plus WI square plus WW square. That means the vertical component and the vertical component square plus the horizontal component square. So that is WT. Now next thing, we have already got the total weight of the conductor. Once we get the total weight, the next thing is calculation of sag. So sag calculation, just putting the value in WT L square divided by 8T, we get the values, calculate the values, and then the tan theta. Tan theta is what? Tan theta is basically the angle, tan of the angle with respect to the vertical. Okay, so tan theta we find out. Then why are we actually finding out tan theta? To find theta, the angle, so that we can find the vertical sag s cos theta. Okay, we need the value of theta here. So that theta equals to 37.39, it is coming. So cos of 37.39 is will give you s cos theta, vertical sag. So this is the problem. Just see, I'm not telling that you have to mug it up or anything like that. The procedure you just remember because it is needed for your exam. These kinds of problems, obviously, values will change. These kinds of problems are very, very common. Very common. Okay. So go through this. I'm just telling you for your own good, go through the problems. Diploma students especially, if you have any queries, you can message me personally, you can ask me if you are not comfortable here, but you should get it cleared off. Okay, if you do not, then later it will be a big problem. Okay, so this is all about the problems on sag. So I think I should wrap up the sag part here. I'll go to the conductors next. Sag, if you have any questions, please ask regarding SAG. Anyone? Anyone has got any questions regarding SAG? SAG. Anyone has any question? Because SAG is a like a definite question of it is scoring also. If you understand, it is very very scoring. You just need to derive the calculation of sag, how to derive in equal supports, unequal supports, and then the problems. Then your entire question is answered. For module 1, major thing is done. Sag is definitely going to come. Anyone has any questions regarding sag? Because I'll move next. We are already lagging. Yes, anyone? No. Okay. So I'll just move to the next part, which is our conductor part. Um, Overhead transmission lines we have started, and we know that this between two tower supports, the line conductor is hanging, it is suspending. So that line conductor is actually the conductor that we are concerned with, so that it has a proper material, a proper qualities or requirements, it should serve the purpose. So what are actually requirements of the conductor? I have already done discussed it before. Still, it is important because in your syllabus I saw there are certain names of particular conductors, and name wise, suppose you know copper is a very good conductor. Okay, so copper is not directly used, right? So different alloys are used, especially aluminum alloys. There are many names of the conductors that you need to remember. It is theoretical part. So you need to remember each of the alloys properties and each of the alloys, whatever purpose they are serving over the other, advantages, disadvantages, properties, these things. So I'll just go to that and finish it up today. Yes. So I hope everyone can see.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. So types of conductors, these are the properties actually. This is the theoretical portion of this module. Only these are the theory. Rest everything else is derivation and mathematical part. So types of conductors. Types of conductors. We will. I don't know why this is only properties that are showing. Just hold a bit. Okay. So you see, as we are actually studying the overhead transmission lines, there are some things that need to be considered while designing the transmission line, and one of that is the conductors. Okay, so the important factors while we design the transmission lines that needs to be considered while designing are, I'm just telling, the type and size of the conductors, the voltage level, the line regulation and control of the voltage, efficiency of the transmission, corona loss. Again, this corona is not the virus I'm talking about. Corona is a phenomenon in electrical power system. So corona loss, power flow, requirement of compensation, these are the grounding needs, earthing. Okay, earthing, grounding, protection, coordination of insulation, mechanical design aspects that include the stress and sag calculations. Okay, composition of the conductor, design of the power system structure. These are all factors that need to be considered while we design the transmission lines. So first of them is the types of conductors. So when the conductors are used in transmission system for bulk power transfer, bulk power means huge amount of power. Huge amount of power is transferred in over via overhead lines from one end to another end. As I told you, the sending end and the receiving end. So that huge amount of power, bulk power that is being transferred, they should fulfill some requirements. What are the requirements? They should have low weight, obviously, as low as possible weight the conductor should carry, then it will be good for the supports as well. They should have high tensile strength and fatigue strength. They must have high conductivity. They should have low coefficient of expansion and corona loss. They should have less resistance and low cost. And based upon these conductivity, tensile strength, fatigue strength, corona loss, local conditions, and cost conductors, the conductors used in this practice are made up of materials like, as I said, copper, aluminium, and their alloys. So the advantages of using aluminium conductors over copper conductors are given as below. Number one, they should have low cost. Number two, less resistance and corona loss, less weight. Okay, but aluminium has less strength, tensile strength compared to copper. Okay, so as aluminium has less tensile strength, high coefficient of expansion, and large area, which restricts its use alone as a conductor. You see the requirements. Okay, I'm just telling, I'm not telling anything from the book. Just listen to me. If we want low weight, okay, we want a conductor of low weight, low cost, and at the same time, tensile strength should be high. So definitely in aluminium, copper, and different metals, all these qualities will not be found. All these qualities will not be found if we take only aluminium or only copper. So what we do is we mix and match, we create alloys, we create materials so that it has all the following qualities. It should have all the following qualities. For example, aluminium is very light in weight, that we all know, very light metal, but its tensile strength is very bad. So what we do is we mix it. How we mix it and how we form the alloys, that becomes our name of the conductors. Based on that, the name of the conductors are named. Okay, just see this one. This AAAC or triple AC, ACSR, ACAR, these are the names of the different aluminium alloy conductors. The materials, the names of the materials of the conductors. Okay, so what are they and why should we go through them? And this is a very common thing in exam that comes. Means they will say write a short note on triple AC or ACSR or ACAR, and there are many more. There is TACSR, TAAAC, okay, GI, many things are there. So these names are important, as well as we'll go to the individual properties and individual let's say theoretical part. Okay, so the abbreviations you see are given below. We need to see the abbreviations. So as we combine more than one conductor materials, the materials used, they give us high tensile strength. So we mix aluminium with the others, and that gives us high tensile strength and all the other qualities. So I'm just reading this. In order to increase the tensile strength of a conductor, one or more central conductors of different materials are used. These materials give high tensile strength. The different types of aluminium conductors used in power system with full forms and their abbreviations are given below. So what are they? AAC, all aluminium conductor, means all conductors are there, all are aluminium. Because what is used in power system is not a one single conductor. There are stranded conductors, there are many conductors. So stranded conductors generally electrically becomes spiral together. Stranded conductors spiral together, that gives uh, less amount of skin effect. What skin effect is, we will study again later. Now, why we use stranded conductors? To avoid skin effect. The skin effect is reduced due to the use of stranded conductors. So what happens? Normally, the conductors are stranded as it possesses greater flexibility and mechanical strength as compared to single wires. We do not use single wires. We use many of them bunched together. Okay. So single wires of same cross-sectional area. In stranded conductors, a central wire is surrounded by successive layers of wires containing 6, 12, 18, 24, like this. Okay. So the consecutive layers are spiraled in opposite directions so as to avoid the unwinding. See how they are combined. Just see. This is how the conductors are bundled together. Okay. So this also makes our radius of one layer coincide with the inner radius of the next. So the stranded conductors are electrically in parallel and spiral together. Due to the use of stranded conductors, the skin effect is reduced. The conductor size is decided based on its current carrying ability and the voltage level on which it is working. The total number of conductors in a strand of n layers is given as, you see the total number of conductors, it is 3n square plus 3n plus 1, and the overall diameter of the stranded conductor with n layer is d equals to, the d is the diameter, overall diameter is equals to 1 plus 2n into d. So small d here is, what is small d? Small d is the diameter of each strand, means each of these conductors individual diameter, that is small d. Okay. N is the total number of conductors. Okay. So 7 strands, suppose you see 7-strand conductor will have a one central strand with 6 outer strands, while 19-strand conductor has a central strand and 2 layers of 6 and 12 strands each. How it is forming? Just the formula they are putting, so that the number of conductors, the strands of the conductors, and the layers of the conductors, that you will get using these two formulas. Okay. This is just for your knowledge. It is not that any problem is going to come from here, but it will be helpful in studying the next parameters of transmission lines. Okay, so I'll just leave the class here because I think it is 11:35 already. So next class will be waiting for you. I'll continue this in the next class. Today only I have it from 1 o'clock. So from 1 p.m. I'll continue this. Be present everyone at 1 p.m. I'll leave it here today now. Okay, thank you, students. You can leave the class. I'm also leaving. Thank you.